welcome guys to an episode with the Doomed Hell. Starting off 2021, we are making our very first video of 2021 with a noob's guide to purchasing a used computer. Yes, it is that time of the year again where people are purchasing used computers off of other people who have gotten PCs for presents. And right off the bat, I must say that a lot of us don't really have the money to purchase brand new computers, and a lot of us are also looking to succeed our console gaming experiences with PC, as we're looking for potentially a more task heavy apparatus which we can also game on. And today we're going to go through how to properly play modern video games on a custom built PC, and that will be on a budget. So a lot of us, those who are looking for the best price bang for buck, we've probably bought our Xbox Ones or PS4s for less than $300 Canadian. I know myself, I paid $250 for my Xbox One originally in 2014 with the Master Chief Collection bundle. This was a Walmart purchase, and I had sold the game which was included with it, which ended up making the console cost me only $250, which is an amazing deal back then, and even today it is very hard to beat. I know some of my friends, they trapped out their PS4s through various kinds of scams, or simply by working their ass off for a week and basically striking a very nice deal on a broken PS4, which they ended up fixing. So we all come from different areas. Either we're utter noobs for PC gaming, or we have some experience and we're looking to get back into it. And today I've decided that since I've been enjoying myself on PC games, and I have a very cheap PC, I would go about helping you guys purchase a good priced PC, a fairly priced PC in 2021. There's a lot of factors that we have to put in together. Namely, the Bitcoin rise recently has really made graphics cards extremely expensive. I went on Newegg the other day and I checked for an RX 580, and they were going for over $1,000. And this is really no one's fault. People on the Bitcoin mining services are trying to cash in the rise of the Bitcoin, and they want to try to mine Ethereum and other kinds of cryptocurrencies which demand only graphics cards and not into what are they called, actual Bitcoin miners, I guess. And so us gamers, we're kind of screwed because of that, and we're looking for good graphics cards, but let's just start up with what kind of graphics card to purchase. In my opinion, I think that purchasing any kind of graphic card which was never a mid-range or even a flagship graphics card of any generation will probably your best bet. That means that anything that is somewhat old, so 5 years or older, that has obviously you want decent driver support, so that would be GCN. I don't suggest Kepler necessarily. If you know that your game supports Kepler pretty well and you can run Kepler graphics cards pretty well in your games, then go ahead. But for the main part, I support GCN. Purchasing a R9 270 or 270X is very meta, especially today, and you will buy one for around $50, no problem. Otherwise, you could buy a Maxwell GTX 750 Ti. Those will also be very good, especially if you know how to overclock, although an overclocker R9 270X will probably beat out any kind of GTX 750 Ti, so keep that in mind. You can also get like early R9 series graphics cards for a fairly good price, for the amount of VRAM that they will have. Your GTX 750 Ti's won't have any more than 2 gigabytes of VRAM, sadly, which means that modern games in high or mid resolutions will truly suffer. However, a R9 270 or 370 will definitely, it can be found with 4 gigabytes of VRAM, which is great. Now on to the rest of the build. So CPUs, motherboards, and RAM has gotten a little more expensive because of COVID, but also because people are, they don't know what to do inside, and they honestly don't know what to do other than gaming. So prices have gone a little up. I was able to sell some stuff for a pretty good, decent price. But what I've also noticed is that quad-core CPUs have really dropped in price. And while that might suck for us that are looking for workbench CPUs, this is actually pretty good for the modern, budget PC gamer, as quad cores are quite powerful, especially when you're overclocking them, if you can overclock them. And so I suggest definitely buying a quad core CPU. Here I have a i5 7600K with a motherboard, RAM, and a Cooler Master 212 for only $250, which is an amazing deal, especially that this is on a Z270 Pro 4 ASRock motherboard. This is a very, very good deal, and I strongly suggest purchasing this. I actually had to negotiate a little bit, but thanks to some negotiation tactics, I was able to find a 7600K for a really, really good price. This is above average in terms of pricing. Now, if you wanted to find something a little more average in terms of pricing, a Haswell 4690K or even a i7 2600K can be found for around that price of the $200 and $250. I do suggest getting a KB Lake processor if you can't find a Haswell chip. Otherwise, Skylake is pretty much the same as Haswell in terms of IPC and in terms of overclocking as well. And considering that since we're kind of on a budget, we can't really overclock our DDR4 properly, so there's not really any point of going with DDR4, as stock DDR4 2600 megahertz CL18, let's say, or CL16 if you're lucky, will be around the same performance as 2400 C9 on DDR3. So definitely look out for Haswell chips if you can find them, and at worst buy an i7 2600K and overclock it to shit, and I promise you will have a very good time. Otherwise, you can always get a Xeon X5670 or anything higher up that it will be a 6-core X58 platform. These are very good chips. I've talked about this before, but they will be cheaper. They'll be around the i7 prices and will allow you to overclock very well with a lot of PCIe lanes. So I suggest doing that if you have the money and if you can find a deal. Next up, RAM CPU coolers. So CPU coolers, I will always go with the Hyper 212. They're very cheap. You can get one for like $15. Then I would purchase a RAM is very cheap as well. If you find really cheap DDR3 RAM, it can be under $30. And so DDR3 I think is meta still for those who are just trying to run titles in general. Finally, power supplies. So in terms of power supplies, you can't really cheap out in terms of power supplies. If you do have to buy a cheaper power supply around the $30 range, buying a 600 watt slightly older power supply in terms of silver, bronze qualification is definitely doable. Always look up Linus Tech Tips forums. What is it called? It's called the Power Supply Tier List if you want more info about it. Then for cases are really not that necessary as long as you have some case fans included with the deal, and you put on your case fans in a proper manner so that the airflow can be properly distributed in the computer. You can definitely get some very good results. So that's about it, guys. So that's around $350 computer, maybe closer to $400 if you're trying to maximize cost efficiency. All of these parts are very doable. This is in Canadian as well, so in American it would be closer to 200, 260. Actually, because of the rate going down recently due to COVID, it's actually very close to $350. So definitely look out for these prices. Hope you guys enjoyed today. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends. Have a good day.